how Georgia became a crucial hub for U.S. Army airfields. In 1939, the U.S. government poured what would be the equivalent of $4 billion today into expanding the Air Corps. Georgia quickly rose as a strategic hotspot, with its flat terrain and mild winters, becoming home to 22 air installations. By 1943, Atlanta Army Airfield was the busiest controlled airport in the entire country. And in Warner Robins, over 23,000 civilians repaired aircraft and trained nearly 60,000 mechanics, turning Robins Air Force Base into a powerhouse of war support. Inside the camps, where soldiers trained and lived, Georgia's landscape became dotted with training camps. Fort Benning, the world's largest infantry training school, and places like Camp Gordon and Camp Toccoa. Life in these camps was routine, even monotonous. Soldiers escaped through camp shows, movies, and letters from home. Thanks to the USO and Red Cross, entertainment and morale reached even the most remote bases. POWs in Georgia, captured, held, and watched. As the war raged on, over 425,000 prisoners of war were shipped to the United States. Georgia hosted 40 POW camps, where captured soldiers were housed under the rules of the Geneva Convention. With oversight from the Red Cross and even Swiss diplomats, humane treatment wasn't just an ideal. It was policy, ensuring our own troops would be protected abroad. Letters from the front, how families stayed connected. Thousands of letters stitched families together across oceans and battlefields. So many, in fact, they had to be microfilmed, called Victory Mail, to save shipping space. In Atlanta, V-mail was sorted and sent across Georgia, carrying daily joys, mundane updates, and hope in ink lines. Coming home. Reunions, relief, and reality. Reunions after the war weren't always seamless. Soldiers came back to housing shortages and broken routines. Even joyful homecomings at places like Fort McPherson were followed by the sobering task of rebuilding family dynamics. Returning home meant more than just coming back. It meant starting over. Women in uniform, how they joined the war effort. By the end of World War II, over 288,000 women were serving in the U.S. Armed Forces. Georgia became one of only 4 states to host Navy Waves training at Georgia State College for women. Meanwhile, Fort Oglethorpe trained thousands of Women's Army Corps recruits. And at Camp Stewart, women learned to fly military aircraft for critical non-combat roles. These women didn't just join, they served. Tools, tanks, and teamwork, women at work. While men fought overseas, more than 6 million American women stepped into wartime industrial jobs. In Georgia, they repaired tanks, welded ship parts, and built warplanes. In Marietta, Bell Aircraft hired nearly 30,000 workers, more than half of them women, to build B-29 bombers for the war. These women learned fast, adapted even faster, and helped fuel the front line from the factory floor. The fight to heal. Nurses in uniform. As casualties mounted, nurses became lifelines. Over 59,000 joined the Army Nurse Corps, with many more volunteering through the Red Cross. In Georgia, field hospitals in Augusta, Rome, and Dublin cared for more than 80,000 wounded soldiers. From frontline tents to hospital wards, nurses provided more than just care. They brought soldiers back from the brink. Funding the fight, bonds and rations. War isn't just fought with weapons, it's also fought with wallets. Through the sale of war bonds, the US raised billions to fuel the military. In Georgia, citizens lined up to buy bonds and watched celebrities rally support. Meanwhile, families dealt with rationed food, planting victory gardens to ease shortages. Every canned fruit and homegrown vegetable was part of the fight. United on the home front, community in action. In wartime Georgia, communities came together with unmatched unity. Kids recycled scrap metal. Schools promoted patriotism and self-reliance. Adults volunteered with the USO, supported defense drives, and planted gardens. The war effort wasn't just overseas. It lived in classrooms, kitchens, and every corner of the community. Building for victory, Georgia's war factories. Georgia's factories roared to life during World War II. In Marietta, Bell Aircraft's 4.2 million square foot plant built 663 B-29 bombers. On the coast, Brunswick and Savannah turned out nearly 200 Liberty ships. Further inland, explosive plants in Macon and Milledgeville manufactured the tools of war. Steel, sweat, and Southern grit built the arsenal of democracy. When the war ended, coming home to Georgia, Just before the war's end, tragedy struck. President Roosevelt died in Warm Springs, Georgia. As his funeral train rolled slowly through the state, thousands lined the tracks in silence. Soon after, Japan surrendered. Georgians celebrated in the streets, and heroes like General Courtney Hodges were welcomed back with full honors. Aftermath and new beginnings. The war ended, but its impact shaped Georgia's future. Air bases became commercial airports. Factories stayed open under new standards of fairness. And African American veterans, empowered by service, returned demanding their full rights, sparking voter drives and laying early groundwork for civil rights. From war's end, a new Georgia began to rise. This video is created with the sole intention of bringing history to life and fostering a deeper understanding of past events. All visuals are inspired by true historical events and records. We do not intend to hurt or offend anyone's sentiments. If you appreciate this effort, we encourage you to like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful stories from history.